We take you live to Canberra now. The opposition leader Sussan Ley alongside her energy spokesperson Tehan.
And John O'Daniam and Anne Ruston to let you know what that policy is and to take your questions. Australians deserve affordable energy and responsible emissions reduction. And the Liberal Party believes we can do both. But affordable energy must come first. Under Labor, there has been this trifecta of failures. Prices up, reliability down, and emissions flatlining. Labor's net zero policies of mandates and taxes are hurting businesses and they're pushing up prices. Despite promises of cheaper energy, prices have increased substantially under Labor. So Labor's energy plan is actually not a transition at all. It's a demolition job on households, on businesses, on families and on jobs. Under the Liberal Party, affordable and reliable energy will come first. Our emissions reduction goals will never come at the expense of Australian families, and this is the principle that will guide every decision we take. To keep faith with that commitment, the Liberal Party will remove a net zero target from our policy. And if elected, we will remove the 43% 2030 target and its net zero by 2050 target from the Climate Change Act. We remain committed to the Paris Agreement and to doing our fair share to reduce emissions, but we will do it in a way that protects households and budgets and keeps our economy strong. Now, I know what it's like to be a mum with the bills piling up. And in the last 6 months, I've spent a lot of time talking to mums with the bills piling up, struggling with kids, with costs, with the daily commute, and with an electricity bill that is just rising month after month, a 40% increase since Labor was elected. And I've sensed the anxiety that I have felt when my electricity bills were piling up on the kitchen windowsill at the farm all those years ago, and I had no idea how I was going to pay them. Now, Australia should be a country where no one has to make these sorts of choices. Australia should be a country where we use Australian resources to help Australians first. Australians were promised that life would be cheaper under Labor. You all remember that. But you all know that Australians have been absolutely crushed by cost of living increases. So let me first address those Australians this morning. You are paying too much for your power, and it's not okay. Labor went to 2 elections promising you that they would deliver cheaper electricity. And instead, power bills are going up 40%, and that's not okay. Now, I see the Prime Minister has popped up today and, as usual, is focused on the opposition, focused on politics, not focused where he should be, on ordinary Australians who are struggling. So I just want to make it clear. Anthony Albanese lied to Australians when he said he had a plan for cheaper power prices, and every bill, every month, every quarter is a reminder of that lie. Prime Minister, when are the bills coming down? Now, Labor continues to claim that their policies will deliver cheaper power, but instead costs just keep going up, and they can't tell Australians when they might be coming down. We've asked these questions many times, no answers. So the Liberal Party I lead will not stand by and let Australians get crushed by these high power prices. So today, the Liberal Party has decided to put affordable energy first. We will have an energy and emissions policy driven by two key objectives: affordable, reliable power and responsible emissions reductions. And our energy and emissions policies will use Australian resources for Australian families so you pay less for your power. Now, the Labor Party has tried to convince you that they can reduce emissions and reduce power prices. In fact, their policy does neither. Emissions are not coming down, power prices are not coming down. We believe that done in the right way, we can have emissions coming down and prices coming down, because affordable energy matters. And it matters no other time greater than right here, right now. Now, as you all know, because you've asked me many questions about the process along the way, the process to get here has been important. And I'm grateful to Dan Tehan for leading the Energy Working Group, which will continue to develop process, noting that we are 2.5 years away from an election. And the next stage of this, after the Liberal Shadow Ministry decided our Liberal Party policy today, is to settle a joint coalition policy with the Nationals. And I said that 3 of my colleagues would be involved in that. Dan Tehan is one, and Senator Ann Ruston and Senator John O'Daniam are the second and third members of that trio that will very soon start those conversations with the Nationals, so that we hope and anticipate we can land, after Sunday, a joint policy that allows us all to fight the Labor Party, to go to the Australian community where we have spent so much time in the last 6 months talking to people, talking to families, hearing the pain of how higher power prices, and genuinely demonstrate that our priority of affordable electricity while responsibly reducing emissions is the right one. I'll hand over to Dan to give you some further details.
Thanks, Susan. Our policy is about 3 things. We're about energy affordability first, where Labor is about energy costs. We're about growing our economy, whereas Labor is about strangling our economy. And we're about doing our fair share, whereas Labor is about racing ahead of the world. Can I start by saying thank you to Susan? 6 months ago, and I think it was nearly 6 months ago today, Susan said we are going to develop a policy process and it's going to be a thorough policy process. And she put everything on the table. And so as a result of that, we established a process so that we could come here today and give you a policy which was approved by the Liberal Party. And that is what we have done. Obviously now we have to continue the ongoing discussions that we've been having with the National Party. But I cannot think of a more thorough and respectful policy process than what we have undertaken over the last 6 months. And I thank you, Susan, for that. As a result of that, I've been in discussions with colleagues. Obviously, we've been meeting through the backbench, through Simon Kennedy and Jane Hume, the working group with the National Party, and obviously we had the Liberal Party room meet yesterday and the Shadow Ministry meet today. And as a result of all that, you have the policy which we are announcing today. Now, the first thing I want to touch on is what we are doing about energy affordability. That is all going to be about energy abundance. We have to use our natural resources to make sure that we are bringing as much downward pressure on energy prices as we possibly can. And we should use all those natural resources to do so. So we will put downward pressure on energy prices using the energy abundance that we have as a nation. The second thing is we're going to make sure that we're doing our fair share when it comes to emissions reduction. And we're going to do that in 3 ways. On average, we're going to reduce emissions year on year, like we did successfully in government. And that will be in 5-year blocks according to our nationally determined contributions. We will also make sure that we reduce emissions in line with comparable countries, so that we will be able to look at what like-minded countries are doing overseas and say, OK, we want to be making sure we're doing our fair share when it comes to those comparable countries. And thirdly, we want to be throwing all technologies at emissions reduction. We will be the only party, or the only two parties as a coalition, that is saying to the Australian people, when it comes to energy abundance, we will use all our resources, and when it comes to reducing emissions, we will also use all the available technology and all the available resources that we have to make sure that we are doing our fair share. I'll leave it there. Once again, thank you, Susan. Can I say I'm really looking forward to working with Anne and Jono to make sure that we take this process through to its next successful stage. Can I also say to my colleagues, right throughout this process, the respect, the dignified way that you've engaged with me has been an absolute credit to you, and I can't thank you enough.